ilitoka wapi, iliandikwa kwa nini. Tuachange kuassume watu tu waliamka asubuhi and then zile comments watu umekuko hivyo, ndio gospel artist, si gospel artist, and watu wamemlilia Bwana. Mungu amewapatia wimbo. I don't know why we get to do that, but I feel like with such shows like this and opportunities like this, we demystify these things, kwa sababu sisi wote wameitwa kuimbia Mungu mmoja. That is true. Mwingine anaweza kuwa alianza kitambo, mwingine ameanza jana, lakini wote wameitwa kuimbia Mungu mmoja. And so kwa Artist Hangouts on leo niko na Sylvia Akoth. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really honored and happy to be here after a long time. Kitambo sana.
I think 3 years.
Yeah, though I've been a very consistent follower of Hope FM. Actually, you guys are my number one station, and the place I just rest my head in prayer and all that. Wow. And I really get blessed.
We also follow you. Yeah, that's why we have you here. That's why we have your songs.
Yes.
And we are also live on Facebook at Hope FM Live. Tupate pale, naona Alex Shasema ko present hapa. And you can also get us on Twitter, X platform, and then also on YouTube. And karibu sana Sylvia, feel at home.
Thank you so much.
And before we even get into music, the music that we have here, mi utaka sana pia watu wajue mtu ni nani, experience yako pia na wokovu umekuwa gani. Leo nilikuwa naongelesha a young person hapa aliniandikia jana.
Yes.
Anasema hii mwezi anataka ku-overcome secular music. So ndo tumekuwa tukijaribu kuwaongelesha hapa. So maybe pia unaweza kuwa na kitu unaweza ongea na huyo kijana. But before then, wacha tu tukujue, when you got saved.
Amen. Okay, my name is Sylvia Akoth. Sylvia Akoth is a mother, is a wife, is also a worship leader at Deliverance Church, Donholm. Yeah.
Wow, Doni.
Yes, Doni.
Kukoje huko?
Doni, kuko poa. We are there with my pastor, Pastor Kelvin Wanyoike, also under Bishop JB Masinde. And it's such a blessing and an honor that God is doing something in this season. And actually, it is all in our sight, in our eyes, that God is actually doing something in this season.
Wow. What does a worship pastor do? Ni pastor tu wa kawaida. Kuna mtu aliwahi sema hapa na tukamnyamazisha. Alikuwa ameanza kuleta siasa ya watu wengine, worship pastors nini. What does a worship pastor do?
Actually, it's just the general office of a pastor, but now in terms of the worship and the praise team, they are, we are the Levites, so there's that aspect of having an authority, a voice that is, is a guiding voice, and a voice that is also led. That is why many worship teams need a pastor to pastor them. You cannot be a worshiper and you're not led. You're not under an authority. So the authority above us is now the pastor that comes to lead us. Yes. Nice. So sometimes tunakuwa tunaimba wimbo, and sometimes tunafika mahali theologically we need guidance, and that is where a pastor comes in. Kuna nyimbo zingine unasikia hapo kuna kitu haipelekani vizuri, so that is where a pastor comes in, and that is why we need to have a worship pastor in our teams, especially in churches.
Very important.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your journey in music. When did Sylvia Akoth realized wengine wanaimba lakini mimi ninaimba?
All right. Actually, I started singing while I was still a baby, as in from my Sunday school days, because I've grown in church. My mom is a pastor. Yeah, so I've been under those environs of where, I've been singing. I joined choir. I was like, those little girls who are there enjoying and everything. But now I came to realize that I have this gift actually in class 8. Those prep moment and CU and all that. So I felt, I think I have this thing. So yeah, I could get those favors of leading and all that. Yeah, so basically it became active in Form 2.
Form 2.
Yes, Form 2, where now it became so intense. I would lead prayers, I would lead worship, and things would happen. And I was like, yeah, this is what I'm called to do.
Wow.
Yes.
How has it been? Umekuwa tu kwa gospel hivyo tu, najua form 2 high school na after high school life ni vitu mbili tofauti.
Yeah. It's actually it's always, I can say it's always an adventure. From where I sit right now, I can say, yeah, it's been interesting because I was a very strong CU member. And nilisomea Naivasha. Naivasha, it's a girls boarding school. And we used to sing more of Kikuyu songs, so I really learned a lot of Kikuyu songs and Kegosho. And by that time there was so much that was happening, as in we really sold ourselves to God. And that impartation came in me with time. And so when I left my high school, Form 4, actually, nikimalizia, I remember my principal telling me that if you will ever stop doing anything, don't ever stop singing. Because she saw what was inside me.
Wow.
And it was just because we would sing. Through singing, deliverance would happen and people would just be imparted and everything. So yeah, so the evidence of the Spirit of God being in me was very clear at that season. So nilipomaliza, I just chose to do music as a career because I wanted to sharpen my skill and to know what this thing has for me actually hapo mbele. So nikasema wacha nifuate hii mziki. Yeah, and that is how I found myself, singing and making it my priority actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you studied music in campus?
Yeah. KU, I did music.
Okay, you are big and also Kestin.
Yes, Kestin.
There's also a friend of mine called Shekina.
Okay. Yes. Wow. Tunajaribu tu kidogo. At least, yeah.
So there is this young girl saizi umerealize ako na hiyo talent. There's this assumption of money making and kwa na magari like music. Yes. We see the videos huko nje and they're like, these people are living this way but I want to do this. And I've hung around musicians for a while and I know saa ingine most of the time what we see in videos is not the reality kwa ground. Lakini talent iko. Maybe unaweza mwambia nini?
What I've realized is that especially when you give your life that you want to serve God through music, the first thing that should get out of your mind is the earthly gain. Actually, when the Bible says of seeking ye first the kingdom and the rest following, it is so practical that you can't afford to do it vice versa because you will fail. Yeah, when I've been using this example of how Satan tempted Jesus when he was coming out of the 40 days fasting, and he took him to a very high place. A very high place. And this is my example, what I normally tell people, like the devil will always take you to a very high place and lie to you that this is what you should be having. And like, we'll show you like the car, this is actually the life. So sometimes when you are up there or when you desire for those things, chances of you forgetting your purpose is very high because we always come in this, okay, it's an industry, we always come in this field, knowing that at the end of the day I should get A, B, C, D.
Mm-hmm.
I should see. If I don't see, then I don't think this was my area of calling.
Mm-hmm.
So we always come with that perspective of I really want to, I'm seeing so and so driving, so and so having this kind of life. So as I serve, this is what I'm expecting. But the day you realize that this thing goes beyond the materialistic kind of life, that is the day actually those doors will open up. Because seeking ye first, it means that these things should actually follow you, not you following them. Yes. And for me, I've never been, sijawai kuangalia ni nini ninaweza pata. Because serving God, Jesus says come as you are. As in, for you to come, you have first to forget, as in, unajua God is your priority first and foremost before any other thing. So the rest it'll follow. And even if it does not follow, like the way Shadrach and Meshach said, even if God he does not save us, we will still not bow.
Wow, powerful.
And that is a very tricky place, because sometimes you wait and things don't happen. Things don't open up to you as they should, and you feel like, man, I've been here for too long. I think I should move, or I should do something else. But patience is what builds your character. It's what builds you up. And the moment you give up, it means you don't have the capacity for what is coming. You don't have the capacity to hold what is coming, because I tell you, being up there, it's not an easy thing. You really need to have the capacity and the character that is built in you for you to actually be able to manage being up there. Because if Jesus was up there and alionyeshwa, yes, this is all you can have, but because he knew the word, he knew that this I cannot, it's something you can't even bargain up.
Kuna boundary, kuna kitu tuwezi ongea.
And challenge yetu sana ni God anakuonjesha tu ka blessing kadogo, and man, you can't
inafura.
Yes. And sometimes hata niseme ni Mungu ama ni shetani. He will bring, or he will lift you up and take you to a very, and like you, okay. So your mind forgets and you focus on.
I think a lot of artists wako na jina.
Yes,
pia kitu kingine mimi napenda kuambia watu, jina na pesa ni vitu mbili tofauti.
Yes.
Na unakuta in the lies that a jina brings, unakuta watu wanaishi lies huko nje.
Yes.
And in you following such individuals, you end up also living a life of a lie. So it's also good to tell you the truth that God is the owner of these blessings, and there are things that usikue willing to lose your soul to gain certain things because that you are talented or what.
Yes.
There is something I noticed in your bio that you say she was born and raised in Kayole, Eastlands in Nairobi, where life was not easy. And you sitting there represent a girl from Islando, that God took through whatever life brought, and you sit here today as a testimony. Can you just talk to you can share kidogo about this life in Kayole and how it has shaped who you've become? And I hope that even as you share this, there is somebody in those places right now anasema kama Sylvia Akoth ni nini mimi inanilimit.
Yeah, actually, the best part of my life tumeishi Kayole, because mi nimezaliwa Nairobi, so I've really seen the better part of, and so most of the time we would walk, we could walk kila asubuhi tunatoka Kayole mpaka Embakasi, kwenda church. My mom would wake us up in the morning glory, tunaenda lunch hour, tuko kwa barabara. So I was like so sometimes life I remember there's a day I felt very sick, and nikawa na hii ugonjwa ya cerebral malaria.
Mhm.
I almost ran mad, as in I was half mad, half normal. And I remember there's a time, as in Eastland yote hiyo Kayole yote maji ilikuwa imepotea. So people walikuwa na walk all the way to junction na huko kutafuta maji. And at that time I think I was 9 years old. And so when my mom walikuwa naamka saa 9 ya usiku wanaenda, so I was in that state of being very sick, and in that season I would really see things. Unaona, I don't know venye wenda wazimu wanaona vitu. So those are, I could see things and I would run, I would start laughing, I would start doing very crazy things. And I remember that night waliamka saa 9 wakaenda, I started hearing voices calling my name, like, Sylvia, come, come at night. And I woke up because we were staying at around the 6th floor. Nikateremka mpaka chini saa 9 usiku. And me, I was following that voice, the voice that was calling me, Sylvia, come, come, come. So something was telling me my mom is calling me, and my mom wasn't calling me. So I started walking in the streets with no sweater, no nothing at night. And ilikuwa pia ni hizo enzi zenye kuna time watoto walikuwa wanapotea sana, watoto wanaibiwa, and just very funny things were happening. And at that time I felt it's like something had gotten hold of me, like literally wanting to just capture me. And so your time marafiki wa madhe, they were going to work that time, so they were like, Sylvia, what are you doing? And that was my, actually, if they didn't get me, ningepotea na mngewaisikia Sylvia. So I think walitumwa tu na Mungu wakanipata, and they took me to their house. And when my mom came, she prayed for me, and that was my turning point, because I discovered that this thing is more spiritual. It's like it's a destiny issue. It's more than just what I'm seeing, because I've never had something like that. All of a sudden I'm sick, all of a sudden I'm hearing voices, all of a sudden people are just calling my name, and I'm and so living in Eastlands, as in, shaped my life, even my ministry and my perception towards life. And that life today, I used to see ministers, I used to listen to, actually I also was listening to Hope FM those days. Siku za kina JM. And I developed a habit of listening, especially worship through the night. And I will sleep over listening to music, listening to songs. And my life just changed. I developed a life of prayer at a very young age. And I would find myself 5 a.m, I'm still in the living room, just praying. And my mom was like, okay, what are you doing? And this fire kept on burning in me. And at some point I saw myself, and I told God, the day nitajisikia nikimba kwa hiyo redio nitajisikia tu nisikie tu huyo ni mimi, oh Lord. Because with the time it cultivated a very, I don't know, there's just something that changed. It's like a veil was removed from my head, my mind, and everything. Wow. And I started seeing at a very young age. And so being in that setup, I think nikaacha kufocus on the struggles we were going through as a family. And nikaanza kuangalia vitu in a very different way. So what I would just tell someone, probably, there is no environment that can lock you up from experiencing or getting from that kind of status quo or something. Because I think following that and cultivating that culture in my spirit is what has really, helped me be where I am today.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. As you're just sharing also, najiona nikiwa mtaani kisikiza usingizi ilikuwa inapoteanga usiku sana juu sikuwa na wera.
Yes.
And and I will listen to also Hope Through the Night and like ile siku tu nitakuwa presenter huko. Ile siku
hata ulikuwa hapo.
And years later, Mungu tu anafanya mambo yake. We take a short break, we get to some biashara, then and come back. I think we'll start with Nakutegemea. We look at some of your, and I've realized that a lot of your music here is, in the genre of worship.
Yes.
We'll talk about, the direction of your music.
Yeah.
Wow. This is the afternoon switch in your afternoon shift with
Biashara ya biashara na Alice.
Nakutegemea by Sylvia Akoth there. Hey, what a beautiful voice, a powerful voice there.
Amen.
And the message meweka cheki intact kabisa. Sylvia, where did Nakutegemea come from?
Wow. Nakutegemea came from a very those seasons whereby you have nowhere else to really turn to. Actually, all hope is gone and you are left with nothing else but God. It was a very timing season for me in marriage. That really was really shaky for me, and I found myself, because one of my jobs is I work in studio. And I was always in studio, making songs. And this season, it was really hard for me to even sing because most of the time you go through situations and you can't even pray, you can't even get a word out. And you're like, Lord, what do I do? As in, you can't express yourself in any way. And I remember my producer giving me this tune and just telling me, you go listen to it and just do something. So I just came that morning in studio and I just started flowing and just crying to God and asking God, Lord, why did I just decide to follow you and all these things are happening to me? And the Lord just reminded me that there is no day, there is no day he will use something he has not tested. Yes. It's like you just have to go through that fire. There is no any other way. You get out of the fire, you remain there. You go through the fire and you get to the other side a very strong person. And for me, that season also built me up. I can say it really built me up, and it gave me some, some fire that I really didn't have. And I'm so grateful also for that season. Right now I look back and I'm like, Lord, you are doing something.
There's a song I love by Rebecca Soki Kalonzo inaitwa Amenitendea.
Yes.
And she says dhahabu ni dhahabu. Hata ikiwa kwa moto, hata ikiwa kwa ni dhahabu.
Yes.
And some of us wakati tuko kwa moto we forget what we are.
Yes, very true.
Tunasikia shetani akitudanganya and we become other things.
Very true. And you find most of the people giving up in those seasons. And when you give up, that is actually, you will really need another, you have to go through another circle, like the children of Israel. Utajikuta tu hapo and it will be maybe late for you. And so it's good to go through some things because of our making.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What a song. And I have another song here titled Mungu. And play it, then get to know where that came from and why the title.
Yes.
And but before then, I've realized that most of the songs we have from you here tumeziandika kama worship. Is it a direction that you the Lord has like spoken to you? This is what you need to do, because I only see like, and it's titling here. We title them praise. There's some we title local upbeat, but yours naona worship.
Actually, every season kuna kwangana something God is releasing through my spirit, and I'm always very keen in wanting to know what God is saying at a particular season. And with also my nature of the nature of who Sylvia is, there's a style of music that I'm also I flow well with, and that is why I find myself drawing in that line. With the time I've just been doing like seasonal, not seasonal per se, but I will know God is trying to say this at this time. And I would be quick to just do what God is saying and releasing it.
Wow. Big names here. Naona collaborations na Sylvia na Jairo, I say Barton King,
Yes.
Ali Mokwana. How is it working, or rather collaborating with with individuals, and wengine wanatumia collaborations kama steps za
stepping stone.
Na unaweza tumia collaboration uende juu, lakini kama huna
yes kama we mwenyewe hauna hiyo capacity.
Ndio hiyo.
Yeah, what I would say about collaborations is that for me I see collaborations from a relational point. And because you can't just collaborate with anyone. You guys must be flowing in the same page, having the same perspective. And also, okay, the people I've done collabos with, the people also have impacted my life in one or two ways.
Wow.
Who have really worked with me at a personal level. And I would really testify of their ministry and what they are doing. And ni watu at least tume before even we reached at the collabo level, we had some stories. We had
niliona wimbo yako, nimekuwa nikikufuata tuingie studio.
Yeah, that one can happen, but for me, I prefer relational because it goes deep, it cuts deep, and it brings you. It ni kama kuna kitu inachokora ndani yako. You don't just sing. There are things you just release. Wow. It's like their grace. It's graces are singing, not just people singing and releasing sounds, but
wow.
There's something you guys are really transacting in the spirit. Yes.
And then I feel like what you're saying is also you're like every aspect of what you're doing is comfortable.
Yes.
Unajua huyu, unajua work yake, unajua testimony yake.
Yes.
Wow. That collabs should be like that. It should be relational.
Yes.
So that pia hauna wasiwasi hii tutoe lakini tustoe video.
Yes, ati kwa sababu na faida sijui nini, huyu atapata pesa.
Ngine najua kuna tujaiongelea lakini itachibuka pia. There are also people who are selling collabos.
Yes.
Very big names.
Yes.
Nauza collabo. Naimba na kila mtu huko nje.
Ni biashara, but now what I really learned is that because especially Kenyan ministers, we've not been taught honor. And so the lacking of, our understanding about honor is what has made us, or what has made probably those who went before us be like, give me.
Hey.
For me too. But now if we understand, like for me to bring someone like, Ali on board, I should understand that this is a grace I'm handling. And, honoring that is what also, I should not be told to pay you. I should know that I am supposed to honor you by giving something. That is something I should know. Inafaa nijue, ninafaa. But see, sasa inakuwa ni place ya demanding and all that. So I think there's a gap.
I get you. And I agree with you.
Yes.
Totally agree with you. Wow. This is Mungu by Sylvia Akoth, and then we will talk about a new jam. This one came out, I think, last week. It was on Friday, if I'm not wrong, or rather I saw it around that time.
Yeah.
So this is Mungu by Sylvia Akoth, playing here in the station where you listen and live. And we are with her here hapa kwa studio. And as usual, if you have a word for her, umemsikia, there's something amesema unaweza taka pia say something to her, you can write in 0717 400 555 is the WhatsApp number.
Hakuna wa kufanana nawe Baba, hakuna wa kufanana nawe Baba. Baba, wenye haki ukimbilia wakawa salama. Nami Baba najileta kwako leo, unioshe, unisafishe. Hakuna wako fanana nawe Baba, wewe ni nguzo ya maisha yangu. Wenye haki ukimbilia wakawa salama. Mimi nani niliinue jina lako? Mimi nani nisongele kwako? Najileta kwako Baba, ni salama. Nanyenyekea kwako, uniinue. Maana najua kila kitu ni chako. Yote yatapita, lakini wewe utasimama. Vyote vinapita, lakini wewe unasimama. Unasimama peke yako, wewe ni Mungu. Unasimama kwa neno lako, wewe ni Mungu. Wewe ni Mungu, Mungu Baba. Hakuna wa kulinganishwa na wewe, hakuna wa kufananishwa na wewe. Kama Yeremia nitakukimbilia, kama Danieli nitakushikilia. Wewe ni tegemeo, wewe ni kimbilio, wewe msaada wangu wa karibu Baba.
What a song.
Nitakuishia maisha yangu yote, maana najua wewe ni Mungu.
Wow.
Wewe.
Somebody saying that song playing now is my favorite. She's a
Amen.
blessing. Her levels have no limits. Lafu anasema I have a testimony with that song.
Wow.
It got me at a time I needed that message. Ile mahali umefinyangwa mpaka umekubali. Wow. And then this song spoke to her.
Amen.
Wow. Ati unasema this was amongst your the first songs you released after you were in another phase of
Yes.
being a musician.
This one was that song that I entered in studio without knowing what I was really, but I had the the conviction, because at that time ndio nilikuwa nimetoka kwa club. I for around 1 or 2 years I went in the clubs and started entertaining. I joined a band that was entertaining in clubs. And after the campus life and everything, so you find yourself in the space where you need to practice what you've been learning, and also to get money. And I found myself there. And for me, I went there like, man, I just want to sing. I know this one, I can get money and everything. So, and also the peers and, people telling you that, Sly jaribu hii, unaweza umoka. So for me, I stayed there, and it wasn't quite a good good place for me because, you know, I went there because I just want to sing, man. And you know, when you're in such environments, you can't say I won't do as they are doing, or I just want to, you know, do my thing and leave, because in that space there's all kind of things that are happening. And at some point, you know, compromise comes in, where you just have to compromise some things, and it was so uncomfortable to me. So at some point I would natoka Friday kuimba huko, alafu naenda church kesha. I'm like, oh Lord. So for me, my spirit kept on being disturbed, because I'm like, Lord, that is not the place. Though kuna do you know, just as I said, the enemy will really create a space for you to tell you this is where you're supposed to be. So, you know, there was money coming in, and it would really help me out, you know, inge come through. But now my spirit was not at peace, because, you know, also being a lady, there are things you just need to, because you're there. And I was the only lady in a band, in a team of like 5 people. And we do music at night, you know, during the day, even Sundays. And I was like, nah, this is not my place. And so one day I just meet with this friend of mine, a producer, and he takes my hand and akaniambia, leo sikuachi mpaka ufike studio. He's called Morris. Oh, Morris, I really honor you. He's a pastor right now. So he just held my hand and took me to studio. And nambia, leo sikuachili. So I was like, okay, wacha tuende. So akaniingiza kwa studio, and actually I didn't have a song, but he just told me, I know you are a singer, so you just do something. So I was like, So the first song that came in my mind was Hakuna wa kufanana nawe baba. Hakuna wa kufanana nawe. You know, the common song. Hakuna wa kufanana nawe. Hakuna wa kufanana nawe. So when I was just singing that song, the Spirit of God just started bringing words in my spirit. Like I started flowing, and I'm like,
what? And that song,
yes,
testimonies inakuja hapa through that song. I'm like, we.
So najipata nimeanza, wewe ni nguzo ya maisha yangu, wenye haki ukimbilia. So I was like, wow.
So it talks about the foundation.
Yes.
Yenye wazazi wako walikupatia.
Yes.
So that when you get that opportunity, you are already prepared.
Yes.
Unknowingly.
Like, my spirit was already there. But now, you know, it was dragging my body along. And I'm like, I tell you, to me, I think this one was just, I don't know, because at a song, ilichezwa the first Upper Hope FM. And I was like, because the day I brought it, actually nilikuja nikaacha kwa mat, naenda hata sijamaliza, naisikia inema. I was like, Lord.
Ile tu yenye nilienda tu hivi raundi.
Yes.
Ndio hiyo.
I was like, what? You mean? What? As in, if you don't believe in God, then that one
wacha mkusomee testimony hapa. That song I have a testimony with it 2016. I was in the most difficult place. God bless you, Sylvia. Amen. This is Maloa. And clearly you are also in a very difficult spot.
Yes. I was in a very...
So how God works, win-win. Ukienda unasema, you know what, actually I can trust God to go this direction. If nimeingia tu hivi, then somebody also yenye unaweza sema ilikuwa tu by the way imemsaidia kuheal. Wow. Huyu anaitwa Brother Sam of Shauri Moyo, Jogoo Road. Anasema salimia sana Sister Sylvia. For sure this is one of the most humble gospel ministers I've shared a platform with. We were with her somewhere in Makongeni, Jogoo Road at Vision Power Church, and I can attest that she's a very humble minister. Amen. God bless you, my sister. Amen. We are even to sample a new song here, but I feel like, you know, that was very important that we mentioned that face and how God can, you know. And maybe somebody is struggling with being in mimi nimeitwa Mungu, lakini for survival sake lazima nipige gig kwa club, lazima and your heart unajua kuna conflict between your spirit and that aspect of the flesh that is money and all these things. You can choose today like Sylvia chose and go that direction and the Holy Spirit anakuconvict and you'll not regret it. Wow. Sylvia, I think yuko na sisi. I'll have to launch this yuko na sisi nikiwa peke yangu, but we can talk about yuko na sisi then you know when I get to really to play it kwa show, at least people know what yuko na sisi is all about.
Okay, yuko na sisi, I did it in the live recording I had last year. And this song, actually the theme of the live recording was It's Time. Because God just brought this word in my spirit, like this one is the word for Kenyan ministers. Like for long we've been doing music and you know being in that space, but God is like relaunching us to another space with him. And God was just reminding me that we should not fear, like you know when Peter was just you know about to walk on water at the voice of Jesus, and he was like, Jesus, please tell me if it is you, let me come. You know, it was Peter's request. Actually, Peter is the one who is requested. So, because Jesus allowed him to come and told him, yes, you can come. So Peter started walking, and in the middle, he felt it's like, no, you mean I'm walking? I'm walking. So I think for the longest time we have been in that space of we are doing it, but now God is like telling us, it's like he's relaunching us to a new space, to a new space of trusting in him, because there's a place that God is taking us as a nation, especially the music. You know, the music department, and that is why you feel like there are people who want to give up. There are people who are struggling because it's like, you know, anytime, as in wakati kuna kwangana zile panting za labor, when the pain increases because there's something that is coming. And so for me, God was just reminding us that he is with us. We should not fear. We should not fear, you know, launching into new spaces because God is with us.
Voice of a prophet here. Mefika. Somebody talking about that live recording, anasema please tell Sylvia she's a blessing and a great worshiper. Her recent live recording has really been a blessing. Kwanza ile song inaitwa Yeshua. Continue serving God. Anaitwa Grace Njeri. Wow. So asante for coming through.
Thank you so
Thank you
much
for sharing your story with us. And clearly you see your ministry is not in vain. Unaweza kuwa wakuambi, but testimonies. May God continue using you. And even in this place that he's taking us, that I so believe anatupeleka, I pray that you know pia wewe unakuwa hapo. Usitumike kama daraja alafu ukose kukua huko.
I take it by force.
Amen. Thank you for coming through, Sylvia.
Thank you so much.
Baraka. Wow.
Amen.